'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. He grabbed a cold beer, all 96 cals, then put his feet up and called his good pals. Dear Eddie, dear Chief, dear Rick and Lucas, come have a Miller Lite with me, and
it won't give you mucus.
All right.
The mucus is not where I was going with
Yeah.
that. It's Miller Lite season. It's Christmas season. That wasn't a mouse joke. And even if it was a joke and you're mad at me, bury it. Have a Miller Lite. It's that time of the season. Great tasting, less filling.
Yeah, holiday gatherings, the office parties, fireside conversations, football Sundays. Winter means more moments with the coolest people in your life. And make these moments even better with Miller Lite, the great tasting light beer for people who love beer. And yeah, it's Miller time, baby. So it's.
Eddie, you gonna toss back a couple 2-tree Miller Lites this weekend for the holidays?
Yeah, this is really the last piece of content we'll be recording for the next.
You want to say it?
9 days probably. We will be recording the post-game show on the Lions game, and then that's really it. So besides that, it's just going to be hanging out with good friends, family, drinking some Miller Lite. So I'm excited. Miller Lite's brewed for taste, and it hits different than other light beers. You guys know the drill by now. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/redline to find the delivery options near you. We know you're not going to want to leave the house these next couple days. So
Nope.
It's a great time to hit that button, MillerLite.com/redline one more time, or pick it up anywhere that they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Hey, how you doing? Go make that delivery driver suffer. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Chicago sports fans. This is Barstool, Carl.
And Dave.
Chief.
Eddie.
This is Redline Radio and All Gas No Break Chicago Sports Podcast, brought to you by Barstool Sports Chicago and our good friends at Miller Lite and Danny Lance on the ones and twos today. Ed, you want to deflect? You just want to talk about Danny Lance? You want to talk about what do you want to talk about, Ed? Before
I think you guys are a bunch of cowards, so we'll get into that.
well, someone's going to
Who
point
is?
a finger.
I think all you guys are cowards. I
I don't even know where this is going.
Well,
Come on,
I don't.
you got to be kidding me.
Did I miss something?
The awareness sometimes in this room.
it's
Well,
fucking.
he's the.
He's got no. Well, we got Do Not Disturb Chief.
My phone did die last night.
Yeah, we got Do Not Disturb Chief. We got Gasoline Canister Dave, and then we got Hands Up Carl.
Yeah, hey, listen,
is this
I'm
about
a full
Poopgate?
balance argument.
Yes, about
Okay.
It's not Poop Gate. It's Bathroom Gate.
He's the unit pooper.
The fact that White Sox Dave didn't come in here with like the cartoon bull licking his fucking chops when the Matador comes out, because Eddie's in the spotlight, man, Dave.
I mean, you wrote a blog about it.
I wrote a blog about it. I let the people know that detectives are on the case, a.k.a. Chief's buddy, that we all know doesn't actually exist. And all
Why does he
signs
exist?
are, I mean,
He says
I don't know if this is like enough to prove circumstantial evidence, but it's not looking good for our guy Ed over
I don't
here.
know how you link that to that.
The guy clearly has to shit nonstop.
I mean, everybody
poo on the
poops.
front door to Eddie pooing in the girls' room.
Yeah, this is.
He couldn't hold it.
I mean,
this is where the man.
If anything, it's like Eddie has to poo in the girls' room. The last thing Eddie could do is poo on a
yeah.
door.
Well, I mean, exactly.
You can't poo anywhere.
I feel like
You're pathetic.
pooping in the girls' room eliminates him as a suspect from pooping on a door.
He
that's
couldn't
what-
make it. He
that's
couldn't
what-
make it to the men's room. He couldn't make it the extra 3 feet to the.
That's where things get tough for our friend who is now the third person in our office wearing a neon orange hat, which is also something I'd like to talk about. But
You're going to deflect
Well, no, we'll
the
keep-
color of hats when it's 3 degrees outside?
We'll keep the spotlight on me. Danny Lance.
This guy is like the attorney and the first attorney, the state's attorney in my cousin Vinny, where it's like, well, you got to get rid of this guy because he's the worst lawyer, the worst prosecutor of all time. You have to eliminate that. We have to focus on the fact that not only did he poop in the girls' room habitually, he hated getting heat for it on the internet, so he took the sign off and made it unisex.
Is that an OSHA violation, by the way? Because I think it might be an OSHA violation.
Not in this day
it's
and
the most
age.
inclusive thing that's ever been done at this office.
You're going to go that route?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I'm
Well, tell me
gonna
how it's not.
summon
Tell me how it's
OSHA
not.
lawyers.
OSHA's for safety. How is that blocking
I think this
safety?
is under the OSHA.
This
umbrella.
guy, what a thick-skulled moron this guy is. OSHA. What does OSHA have to do with ripping a
You
sign
don't know
off?
the first fucking.
I
thing
sure
they
do.
show.
I was a fucking, I was a filmer in college, bro, and I had to fucking deal with OSHA. I went up in fucking lifts, man, and they fucking
Those
would
are
drive
dangerous.
by when I didn't have the harness on. When I didn't clip myself, the fucking OSHA came by. They're like, "Hey, your filmer, end zone filmer,
Okay.
breaker 19er. If he fell
I
out,
am pretty
he'd be
sure
fucking
OSHA
dead."
also is for like wheelchair access, bathroom accessibility for all genders. Like I think it. I
That's
think
more.
it's
That's I think that's
very
more the American
wide-ranging.
Disabilities Act.
Thank you, Carl.
OSHA is more to keep your work comp rates down.
Fire your attorney. Third guy with an orange hat
Never the fucking less.
in the Barstool Chicago office.
But occupational
the
safety
point is
hazards
this: he tried to throw the little ball, and I almost chased it there.
You're chasing it.
You are
not.
currently
The point
you're
is
halfway
that,
down the hall.
Is
We are
that
7
there
minutes into the
is
show and
Shit said live.
there is a unipooper on the loose.
See, here's where you're letting
and just because poo is involved in both things doesn't mean they're related.
but
Right.
that's where false. That's poo is not related. There was never poo involved in the story. It's about using the women's bathroom. And Lance
poo.
no,
yeah.
there's no poo. There was no poo ever involved. Lance could confirm. Lance was there with the camera, and I pulled Hannah into the bathroom. I was like, "You can come in here and smell." And she's like, "All right, yeah." There's no.
What if you had matches?
It was,
What
it
if
was
you-
a
what if
bathroom.
you-
Yeah.
There was. I did not pull that trick. I didn't have matches.
You didn't courtesy flush.
I didn't have matches. No, I didn't. It was just. And let me ask you this:
Have you ever pooed in
used?
that
Have you ever
bathroom?
used bathroom number the left side bathroom?
Ed, of course,
Okay.
of course.
Have you ever
But this
used the
is
left
about-
side bathroom, Carl?
yeah, I've used it. Do I use it exclusively as like a personal preference where I won't
I
use
don't-
the right one
Eddie
because
has
of the
turned
right
it
I don't
into
use
his
it
No, I
office.
use whichever key is available.
Exactly. So Danny Conrad-
with a distinct preference to use the men's room now that we have multiple women in the office.
Correct. Danny Conrad was in the right one. I knocked. He said, "Yep, occupied." He was grunting a little bit. So I was like, "All right, it's going to be a while."
It's got IBS.
So he got IBS. Correct. I didn't want to say that. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go grab the women's and I'm going to go take a quick pee. Boom, I do it. And as soon as I come out, that little runt, Hannah Tran, is standing outside filming me. I'm like, all right, great. Here we go.
Your
And,
face was.
that was it.
You have to admit your
was it.
face.
That was the
That
guiltiest.
was the guiltiest face on what you say is
I've
an innocent
seen-
man I've ever seen.
I've seen that face before, and it's when
Well-
George takes a shit inside.
yeah, they like pin
That's-
their ears
yeah.
back
But
and they
here's
get their
where
eyes. And they're
here's where
oh, fuck.
there was nothing. It was all about going in the back. And what I did, and like Big Cat defended me, Jeff D. Lowe defended me.
well, Big
it's
Cat
all
pisses
about-
and sinks.
It's all about the right to use 2 unisex bathrooms. That's all it is. It's a one staller, and it should be that way. Especially right now, we're in the office right now. It's all males right now, boys. Both bathrooms should be for everybody. I'm looking out for the better of the office right now, and that's all I'm doing.
We're gonna have to have Sydney
Yeah.
come in here more, I guess.
I don't know. I would just feel like that if I was a girl here, if I was a woman, I definitely would be like, I would like my own bathroom. I'd take one look at this glass studio walking by and I'd say, no way.
Disgusting.
And I'd say, no way you can do all the bells and whistles here and
Yeah.
not give me a place for my tampons.
And we always say that Eddie is like born in the wrong generation, like he should be from the '60s. Not a gentleman. Not a gentleman by traditional standards.
Listen,
Were people more gentlemanly in the
I think
60s?
so. Yeah.
you think so?
I think that they would
We can't
respect their
confirm that.
bathrooms more.
We
I don't
can't
think that
confirm
they
that.
go in there peeing on the seat and leaving it, not putting the toilet seat up.
See, this is where like these nefarious details. Is nefarious the correct word there?
No clue. You
Directionally correct.
haven't really
I think you were pretty
continued
close
to
to
talk. So.
Here's where these details just like a little
I
fucking.
don't know. Don't back
pew,
away
pew,
from it.
pew.
Say it again.
We're
Start
just
from
like
no.
we
Say
just,
nefarious. Don't
nefarious details. We just go into Johnny's apple tree and we're just picking these apples, throwing them in these bushels, and we keep throwing these details in to make a man look worse just because it just fits this red ad narrative. And that's all we're doing.
Well, I mean,
The people need to see what's really happening here. Now, if this were a
You're all about the
situation,
people now.
if this was a situation where there was like multiple stalls and this was like an open bathroom, that'd be fucked up. I would not do that. Now, if people understood if these are two, like if this is a straight up one person lock the key bathroom.
yes.
And before we had women in here for a whole year, everybody used both. It was
Correct.
always, it was never a situation, and we never really before they came, there was never really a thing where like, hey, we should probably split it. There was never a conversation. If there's a conversation like, hey, we should do that, I would never use it again.
I think that you said all this red ed narrative. The red ed narrative, the pooping and peeing all over the seat thing, that's a separate issue. You deciding because you got pressure on the internet that now it's unisex without consulting the group. That's the red ed dictatorial.
This is everyone's just trying to bring down my Uber shits idea. That's all this is.
I think this actually helps you.
I think
would
so
say
too.
it.
Yeah.
You're right.
I have a few questions.
What's your questions? If they're
Are you you're under oath right now? So if you lie, you're
I'm under
committing
oath, but
perjury.
if they're leading questions, I will.
Have you ever shit in the women's room at this office?
If it makes it easier on you, I have.
Since there have been women here, I don't believe so, and that's the honest truth.
So you have.
Well,
before.
I mean, hold on
Since
a second.
before-
To say I don't believe so, you cannot then immediately say, and that's the honest truth. That's a very. It's true.
Yeah, but I
what you're
don't-
doing there is that you're throwing a ton
school
of
Carl.
fucking sauce
Yeah,
on something
Good.
here,
No,
Ed.
I'm glad you brought that up.
This is the
glad
defense,
you
not
brought
that I
that up.
recall.
I'm
Not
glad
that
you
I
brought that
recall.
up. But that's the truth, okay? I don't. This is a situation where I don't. Back in the day, it was the Wild Wild West when there was no,
Just
when
let
there
it
was
rip.
no women. Yeah, but no, I don't. I have not. And this is how it started. I had word. How this started? You want to know how this started was from the upfronts. There was a bunch of people in town, and I heard from a back channel that she was telling people that. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Hey, you brought her in here.
Yeah, that was like a crazy rumor to start. So that's why I was like, that's like a.
That's pretty salacious.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If you don't
And that's
have
not
I
like
mean, you kind of cut her loose a little
stone
bit.
cold
so,
proof.
You know,
Well,
this
that's
is
what
like,
I'm
well, now the
saying.
dog's off the leash a little bit. And she's walking around making the jokes, and
Correct,
She, you know,
correct.
that to her is probably fair game based on some of the stuff she said on your show. Maybe to her,
Yeah,
it's like, you know
yeah,
what,
yeah.
I can bust Eddie's balls. I'm
She's
over here
running
talking
wild.
about fucking body counts.
That's true.
I can talk
That's
about
true.
Ed taking a dump in the ladies' room. I didn't
You're
know.
right,
Now
you're
that's
right.
off limits.
It's a good point. That's a good point.
What about this though?
Mm-hmm.
So I would say on average, 50%. We all know I have a grade 80 bladder, and I don't shit at the office. I don't think I've ever one time shit at this office. I would say 50% of the time I do have to take a leak. I would say the men's room's locked, and Danny Conrad is in there. Why is Danny Conrad not getting more heat if you say that you're innocent?
It's a good point.
I mean, we have a guy in this office that is very open about his
If
irritable bowel
anything-
syndrome disease.
Because that's
If anything, this is where we have to maybe get him his own bathroom in the next office because it gets so much usage because
Maybe.
he has a disability.
he does, and that's how I know too. I have my own personal key to the right room, I should say, on my keychain. So
Okay.
I always try the right one first. But
And
when
then you
someone's
go
in
back
there
to
and
the
I
hook.
really got to pee from drinking these Body Armor waters, thank you, Body Armor. Like it's like, all right, I'll go take a quick leak in the left side. That's all there is to it. So
How much
I
pooping do
think-
you do at the office in general, right side?
not
or
many times. I don't
You like
like
home
we
field
don't
advantage?
we can't we're not allowed to use dude wipes anymore, and I don't like to shit without dude wipes. It's not an ad, and that's the truth.
Well,
So
they just
I
said
swear.
stop flushing them down the toilet.
Well, what do you want me to throw them in the fucking garbage?
Yeah,
that
Well,
would be
hold on a
barbaric.
second. Hold on a second. The details matter. Because now
Yeah.
Dude Wipes is going to come back and say, our fucking product works, pal. The building guy came back
Correct.
and was like, I see these fucking wipes. I swear if we got a problem on this. And it was just very, very, very authoritative about it.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, yeah, it's not their fault.
but no, I mean, if you
disagree.
really want to keep your asshole clean, you would absolutely wipe and bring your own, disposable trash bag and be more conscious of your ass. But
No, and I just don't. Yeah.
don't care about your ass. Don't care about the girls here.
Speaking of which,
You do say, or you do agree that you did look pretty fucking guilty, don't you, Ed?
yeah, well,
You're caught off guard.
I was caught off guard, and we're
That pause was the oh shit I was caught look.
hey, we're making content here, Dave. It was like you like to do in pictures. You got a nice little bit that you do.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know exactly what I'm talking
Hold on.
about. You look like a fucking how should I put this? When you take pictures, You don't
Why
smile.
don't you put it as mean as you can? Why don't you try that one?
Try it.
Say the meanest thing you can say to him.
It's
If I
Festivus.
said-
Hold on a
Is it
second.
today
Hold
Festivus?
on a second. Whatever you're thinking of, take an extra second. Get a little meaner.
I can't do it without being as mean as I possibly can.
You pussy.
That'd be
You are
disingenuous.
such a
Ed.
pussy.
Don't
I
do it
can't.
then.
I can't do it.
I mean, he's totally expressionless. Like he takes pictures like he's brain dead.
Yes.
That's what it is.
No, I just stare at the camera. I got to intimidate those who are looking at it.
It's not intimidating.
What's it like the Will Ferrell
Some
picture
people are.
from Step Brothers, or what is it? Where he's
From
just staring
Wedding
at the-
where he's like,
Yeah, the picture behind
when at the wedding.
when they're doing the speeches.
He's
so
trying to
see
look
Frank's
all
dad,
like
that's
seductive.
awesome.
He's like,
It's a great movie.
Yes.
But not to detract. Ed, it also does not work against Red Ed. It actually works into Red Ed that you'd want to unisex, unify, so, just kind of naturalize the bathrooms
Correct.
for everybody.
Thank you.
I'm
you.
actually saying it makes you look like a communist.
No.
It does.
That's not what I'm. That's,
you just
sorry.
said thank you to that.
I was distracted. I was trying to bring up another point that I want to bring up to the show, because I'm just consistently making you look wrong. But I want to talk about game time before I make Dave look wrong again.
Do you mean
Can I
Game
do
Time,
that?
the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports?
Yes.
that
I think I'm
guarantees
going to go to
lowest
the Bears
price?
game Sunday.
That's Saturday
Saturday or this weekend, yeah.
on Christmas Eve.
On
Correct.
Christmas Eve. Mm-hmm. I'm going to hit up Game Time.
Okay, go do that. Give the gift of also experience this holiday season with Game Time. If you're nervous that your present won't arrive in time, or simply forget the holiday shop, Game Time tickets get delivered to your phone and inbox instantly. Game Time has all the best tickets, and you'll get an awesome price on them. If you haven't given Game Time a shot yet, now's the time. We've been using it all year.
I literally just did it for this exact scenario. Not an ad. I tweeted it yesterday. I forgot to get my dad something. Just forgot because bad son, idiot, apparently. But I got a lot of people to shop for, I feel like, this year as my sisters keep having babies. And so my dad, I missed it. And I was like, nothing that he doesn't like anything. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have another thing where he and I go do a thing. I got him an event from Game Time in January. So
What do you got coming?
I'll tell you off camera. I'm actually very excited about it.
Because he listening?
Dude, no one's
You
going
don't-
to tell.
He
no
listens.
one's going to
He'll
tell your
listen to
dad.
it. He'll
No,
listen.
He won't
He'll
care.
listen. We'll just say
Sister listens.
Give him a
it's
hint.
show.
He's
not-
he's listening
Beep
right
it
now.
out,
He wants
'cause
a
I
little
wanna
hint.
know.
It's
He wants
not
a little hint.
It's not a sporting event. We'll say that.
I'll give you one. Sister listens to the show. She's like, hey, if you're really going to get the nephews something, they're playing youth basketball now. The Globetrotters are coming into town.
Ooh.
At the Allstate?
Allstate and the Wintrust.
Really?
27th to 28th.
I dare you to go to Wintrust over Allstate. I dare you to commit to Wintrust over Allstate.
That's an hour drive
For
plus.
me?
Yeah, no, you specifically, pal.
Oh, no.
Northwest
I
side.
won't be able to, I don't think.
Come
the
on,
thing
dude.
is, I won't be able to go personally because I will be out of town. But if you want to get in the action, download the Game Time app, go to the account tabs, create a login, redeem code RLR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time, last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. White Sox Dave, want to show you a picture.
If you're subscribed on YouTube right now, you see Eddie's showing a picture of White Sox
Yeah, I see it.
Dave.
He's a large human.
Snappy Dog, me and Peter Skoronski eating Snappy
When's that
sticks.
coming?
Stool Scenes Friday.
Okay.
Excellent.
Check out me, Lance, Harry. We had some Snappy Dogs. White Sox Dave said it couldn't be done, so we ate Snappy
He eats a
sticks.
dog.
He eats a hot dog. He's like, White Sox Dave. He's like, he drastically overestimated how dedicated I am to my diet. So,
Tell the message boards.
I mean, I hear what I hear, Ed.
No,
I
know.
hear what I hear.
Yeah, but no, great kid. It was a fun.
He's gonna be a top 5 pick,
Yeah, it was a fun.
5th or 7th overall or so. I wouldn't mind anchoring him for the Bears next year.
It was a fun little shoot. Like I said, it'll
How many
be
did you
this
put
week's
down?
Stool Scenes. We got a bunch of Snappy sticks. We got he got a hot dog. I
You
bought.
bring the Tums?
We would not bring the Tums. I bought him the dog. I bought him everything. So it's nice to have a little one up on a guy who's about to hit a nice little signing.
Yeah, he
bonus.
should pay you back for that.
Yeah, exactly. I kept fucking with him about
Yeah.
that.
Why
Did
don't
you
you-
ask him why they fucking stink?
No. I kept it light, Dave. I'm sure he was upset. He's also undefeated on Irish soil, so he's gonna hang his hat on
He's
that.
not Irish.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Look at that last name.
I
It's
know,
an
but
international record, dude.
Yeah,
Focus
exactly.
on the positive stuff.
Exactly.
Let's go to the
Yeah.
league.
Yeah.
Did he? I'm trying to think of the right way to ask it. So, obviously not going in Emerald Isle, but did he slow down a little bit, look in, see if he knew a bartender? What was that?
Well, it's funny.
Famous North Side bar, right? Or not famous, well known?
Yes. definitely.
Can I say famous?
Famous for sure.
Okay.
For sure. We did stop in there because he asked me because he had asked me before to help him and his friends get into Barstool River North. And he made the connection through one of his old high school coaches that I'm friends with, who is now the offensive coordinator at St. Pat's. And he's like, hey, man, do you mind if I tell him to come? I'd like to have him be there because
great.
he made the connection. I was like, yeah, of course. He's like my friend, whatever. And the coach was like, yeah, you want to get a couple beers at the aisle before? I was like, sure, and whatever. And
That's
he's like,
a great night.
And because I checked him out beforehand before I let him in the room. I was like, yeah, how is this kid? Should we let him in? It was like, I forget, it was like a whatever. And he's like, yeah, dude, he is like the best kid in the world. He's like, you should definitely
Draft stock rise.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, if he was like a kid, who was like fucking, but he's like, but this kid is like one of the greatest kids I've ever coached. So.
Eddie Neighborhood 1-for-1 on challenges. Let's see if we can dial one up this week. And
I kind of wish he had some asshole in him.
No, he's like the nicest kid ever.
No, they all are. They're all super good kids.
They are. And
was there anybody else there, or was it just him?
It was just him. It was just me, him, and Tommy Barrett,
out with
Pat's
the boys.
offensive coach. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. And Harry Lance, they tried some Snappy Stix. It was good. It'd be a nice little stool scene segment.
Now, the only thing I don't like about drafting a hometown guy, and this is actually something serious, is you say he's super nice and he's local and you're talking to the coach and stuff and he seems accessible. And maybe not from a Bears fan perspective, but let's just say from a Skoronski?
Yeah.
From his side of things, wouldn't you want to get out of Chicago?
Well, what's interesting,
I'd want to get the fuck out of here so that your high school buddies and you just go somewhere where you can be left alone.
Well, there's two interesting things about him. Is he's a Packers fan.
His grandpa is in the Packers Hall of Fame.
Yeah, his grandpa's he's got roots to
Yeah,
go
that's
back.
deep. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but he's but he's all about he's I would love to stay.
I'll rip those. It'll rip those roots right up. It's third overall pick. Bears take Jet,
exactly,
and everyone's sitting there going, "Get the Bears jerseys out. We'll forget about it right away." But I guess I'm just curious. Did you get the sense of if he is in Chicago, that well liked kid? I don't know. I feel like that's just another.
You're worried about people on scholarship kind of thing?
Yeah, and instead of it being, people always say this positive thing, oh, well, you're at home and it's good to be at home and you be comfortable. I think that more when you're a veteran and you're established, you have kids. But if you're a young guy and you got to come in and make an impact right away, the last place I'd want to be is in a place where I'd be accessible to go get Snappy Sticks, or hey, can you come by the high school and see the boys when you're it's my day off. I just want to be fucking hanging out. Or
you're totally right. I see where you're coming from. I've thought about that too. Haven't you thought about that too? If you you had this job, and if you lived in New York, some of those people they live at the office. It's kind of easy to live at the office if you just move there and you don't know anything. You don't really have friends, right?
Right. Yeah.
It sounds mean, but yeah, there's absolutely the perspective.
Correct.
I wonder what it would be like to do this job if you were tasked with going into a city and
yes,
blow this up.
Correct.
Do a good job on this, as opposed to writing something or putting something out and then having people.
Yeah,
it's just a different level of judgment.
Cubs game, hey, you want to go watch? No, I'm not. I'm saying me, hey, you want to go watch my, you want to go see your nephew's baseball game? And it's yeah, sure, I'll go. You know what I mean? But you have all these distractions,
right? Where
it's if you're right, you're 100% agree. You're just locked in 24/7. However, with him, I think he's just so laser focused.
Yeah, and if you're good enough to be talked about as a top pick in the NFL draft, I don't know necessarily if your fucking buddy from sophomore year of high school is going to slow you down just because he wants to stop at Gene and Jude's.
Yeah, and we even talked about that because we were fucking around. We're dude, go somewhere fucking warm, But it was all he's and I think he would go wherever, obviously. And I don't know him very well.
Be great first offensive tackle to do the Mike Vick, Eli Manning thing. I'm not playing.
I'm not playing for the Cardinals. Not doing it.
I want a tough offensive lineman who prefers a warm climate.
Yeah, but he seemed very much it'd be cool to stay around here. It'd be awesome. But I mean, we could get into little Bears too. While we're kind of in the vicinity. Broncos Country Road.
Got it done.
They rode. Shout out Broncos Country. Brett Rippon, the king. Bears are firmly in the number 2 spot right now, which we fucking wanted.
Yep.
Which is huge. I believe even if we win a game, we will be firmly in at least the top 4. We still want that 2 spot though. I think that's important.
Yeah.
The Texans are also fucking around big time the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Fucking
assholes.
I know.
Cock teasers.
But they're 1-12-1 and the Bears beat them. So I feel like the Bears have
3 game.
Yeah, it's a sneaky
No shot.
They would have like.
But
I feel like the Texans
last
have
two.
to.
But if they
yeah,
win,
they're close. They're overtime with the Chiefs.
Tennessee,
Yeah. Yep.
Jacksonville, Indianapolis.
Those are bad teams.
Can they win 2 out of those 3? They might be able to.
But I guess my point is I think they'd have to win all 3.
Jacksonville's hot.
No, they got the tie, dude. The tie would put them above the Bears.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah. Even if you're right. All right. Yeah. I was thinking that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. If they
didn't give up a 98-yard drive with like a fucking
That's what
2
I'm
minutes
saying.
left and
yes,
blow it last week, yeah, it would have been really nice, Ed.
Yes.
It would have been really nice.
exactly. So they fucked around and played Dallas tough.
Yep.
Played the Chiefs tough. It would have been nice if they would have picked up one of these and then won one more here, but I don't know. Fucking Lovey, please.
Come on,
figure it
Lovey.
out. Please.
Do it for your home.
I know.
Love you.
But
Would you do that deal if you're sitting 1-2 and the Lions are like, hey, we want Bryce Young or Stroud, and they're sitting 4-18 right now because they had the Rams pick, would you give them their franchise quarterback for those 2 first-round picks, assuming that one of those guys are like that, or do you play like defense, be like, we'll trade it to anybody but not you?
dude, I wonder what I'd be very interested to hear from a Lions fan and how content they are right now
With Jared Goff?
Yeah. Because Goff's
he's
kinda
okay.
decent.
Yeah.
He's kind of decent.
I would say that he's slightly above average.
What are they
He's like
missing
Jimmy
other
Garoppolo.
than
He's like
quarterback?
that level of quarterback. He's a perfectly fine quarterback.
Like, what are they missing? Why are they good? Why are they not better?
Well,
They've been
I
playing
think Jared
well.
Goff's probably pretty low on the list. If you're
I mean-
what could get them to be significantly better right now? I don't know if quarter play
Goff's going to have
so.
like 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 10 picks.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking good.
it's a schemers league, Dave. Yeah,
They've
scheme those guys open.
I mean, are you going to
They've
waste
been
a...
hot. They have weapons.
Yeah.
I mean, like, could a dynamic, like, true, like, franchise quarterback, because Goff is not that. He's not like your
But like,
set.
where's it different than 4,500 yards to 30 touchdowns, 10 picks? Where
Yeah.
like could they
but-
they use a
but I think a team like the Jets would love Goff for this year.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like who?
Yeah.
What were you saying? Sorry.
well, because the point here is like, would you trade in the division? Here's a
Right.
team that needs a franchise quarterback. They have the draft capital. You're saying the Bears move to get 4-18.
Yeah.
Maybe sprinkle in a third rounder, just cause. Then Bryce Young is now in the Bears division.
Right. Or Stroud would pick
Whoever.
whoever you like better. Yeah.
It's tough.
I would do it for sure. I'd be like, yeah, fine. We've watched so many top draft. Like, I don't know. Go right
Yeah.
ahead, dude.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah,
the fucking
go
guy.
for
Good luck
it.
developing him. It's impossible. We got our guy. It took us forever.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather
That's-
fucking do something like that with like the Colts
Right.
and move back to like 6 or 7 or Atlanta.
Or the Seahawks.
Yeah.
The Seahawks are probably They probably have 2 right now, right? Because
Well, Seahawks are at 3 right now, so they're
and then they have their own, I assume. Yeah, they have 3 and 15.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, or not assuming that it'd be a future one. So I don't know. It's all interesting discussion. This weekend's just gonna be a fucking. Who knows? I'm gonna say it's gonna be a pounding, but Philly wasn't a pounding. You know, it wasn't. The
Yeah.
Bears played.
They hang around, dude.
Yeah, the Bears fucking weirdly hang around.
If you went through the schedule and picked out games, you're like, well, no way they could win that one.
Yeah.
How many of those are on the schedule so far, given all their losses? Not a lot. From rebounding perspective, like, it's not like they're getting gutted week in, week out.
No.
The only time they did was off the top of my head was Dallas, right?
And even then, dude,
That
they were
was
in the
not-
game in the
yeah.
third quarter after being out of the game where they put themselves back into like
Right.
a one
Right.
possession.
It was. I mean, it's
24-20
still like
or
a,
something.
yeah, they got
3+
smoked out of the
score
gates.
game.
Yeah.
It was 48 to like 23. Was
But
it?
it was close at one point in the third quarter, midway through the third quarter.
Yeah,
the
then-
Bears had got close enough where you're sitting there and be like, hey, if they get a stop, they can take a lead.
And I think
But yeah, that's
They
it
still
though.
got fucking blown out. And at that point, I'm like, yeah, that's a blowout. But the way they ran through New England from the
Killed 'em.
middle of the first quarter, you're like, that game's over. People haven't been doing that to the Bears this year.
No, you're right. The Cowboys was, but it really wasn't a pounding. Like it was. It didn't feel that way.
No.
not as bad as the score would suggest. Yeah.
Yeah, Jets was kind of a pounding, but the Simeon played, so it was
yeah.
whatever. But besides that, like the Bears have kind of been there in every game. I don't know, man. We've said everything that needs to be said about this team.
Yeah, just ride out the season and let Poles do his thing.
I like Eberflus gets Christmas off. Give him a chance to be around a family party. Like, gee whiz, we're close, guys. Talking to his cousins and shit.
Yeah, right.
We're so close, I tell you. I feel like he's just such a nice man. I could be wrong, but so far, here's a great performance review on Eberflus. I think people would say this about your congressional representative, your United States Congress rep. Like, early on, like, just fit in. I don't want to hear any news. Just stay in. I don't really have a polarizing opinion. You just got in office. Great. Go do some shit. It's like nice. We're this far into the season and no one's sitting around. You can't be like, I can't fucking believe Eberflus did this. You know, it's smart. Politically, it's a great play from Eberflus.
Yeah, and I feel like his approval rating is much higher than anyone in Congress, even though he's got a 3-11 record. That's like a miracle.
Smart.
How many 3-11 coaches are everyone's like, yeah, we're on board. This is going great.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of crazy, like the outside perception of like what's happening here versus like what the city feels.
why do you
Right?
say that? Because I thought
think-
Smitty and Roan were kind of like they're
more
very positive
measured.
about
Yeah,
us.
but
Yeah.
I
think
think
it's the
I think
loud
they
guys you're
get
talking.
it. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they get it.
Okay.
Though. Like they get it.
Do you
Like,
think
Well, they also just saw it in front of their own eyes to an extent.
But
Yeah.
you think the national media doesn't believe in the Bears as much as maybe we do?
I think a lot of people are.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of people that are giving Justin Fields a lot of
Yeah, and
love
I think
right
a lot
now.
of people just don't. Maybe don't watch as closely, and they just see 3-11, and they're just like, oh, like
Well,
yeah,
Portnoy is a good example. of
Portnoy is
this.
a perfect example.
Oh, the 58-minute man or whatever bullshit he says. He fucked up, and he is in Justin Fields, fucked up one of those last-minute drives. We got St. Brown. We got Pettis. We
Yeah.
got that dude, I don't even remember his name, fucking fumbling.
I think
there's
it's-
so many things outside of Fields'
I think it's
control.
the people who flip over during the witching hour and they didn't watch the first
Where
three
he
and a-
was their
three and a-
only offensive weapon.
3.5 quarters. They're in the red zone space, and it's like, oh, let's flip back to the Bears game, and it ends tragically. And like, so if you're only making your judgment on Fields via red zone, then it's not going to be glowing. But I feel like he is getting. He and the Bears, I think everybody realizes where they're picking in the draft, and everybody. I feel like there's a lot of people who know about the cap situation now, and then it's like, well, they have a quarterback, so that's a pretty good foundation. I feel like that's. I haven't seen as much negativity around them as maybe you have, I guess.
not internally in Chicago, I should say, because Chicago's like marred with fucking
Yeah,
brutalness right now. That's not a word, but it's
We know
so
what you
Well,
mean.
it's their brutality.
Yeah,
Close
brutality.
enough. But your general sentiment of laughing stock nationally, easy for people to point and laugh at. Kyle
Yeah.
Brandt get on, whatever, cup of coffee in the morning and make his jokes about like, well, it's tough being a Bears fan, and just feeds this national where if you're on the ground, you're like, dude, actually, we're
It's
not
not,
we have pride. There's like a swelling of pride here of like, oh, it's fucking coming, boys. Like we know
For
it's coming.
sure.
We're for so long.
And I
Apathy.
know all you guys get them. Everybody, anytime Fields does something awesome, and typically it's been on the ground, obviously with his legs. Every single time you freak out about him making this highlight reel play, and someone's like, "Oh, he'd be a great running back one." That's them projecting. That's them. They
Yeah, I don't-
know
that
they're
doesn't-
scared.
they're
They're
fucking-
scared at what's to come. They're scared, Ed.
the objective of football is to move the ball and put the ball into the other team's end zone. How you do that is up to your team.
just
It
keep.
doesn't matter how, okay?
You're-
Right or wrong?
No, you're right.
You're
It's-
right, but
Right
there's
or
more
wrong?
nuance to that.
It's
can
that old.
Can you adjust to that?
Did you-
Like other defenses, can they adjust to how you're doing that?
But still,
That remains to be seen, and I think that's fair to point out.
if they want to do it with, like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, though, that is the objective of the game.
Points on the board. It's the old, like, do you guys grow up watching NFL films or no?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the old Hank Stram, just keep matriculating the ball down the field. Like that
Such a
famous
football guy quote.
famous football guy quote, Hank Stram, the old Kansas City Chiefs. And you're right. Just however you have to. I don't care if you run the triple option. If you're moving the ball and scoring points and winning games, and they're moving the ball and they're scoring points, and hopefully the winning games
In
part.
bunches.
Yeah.
I want to say this was a tweet in passing. It just popped into my head. I'm pretty sure this is this could be fantasy points, but it also could be actual like NFL points. Justin Fields is accounting for, I think it was 21.75 points per week for the Bears. I forget exactly how it went, but it's like, dude, like, how can you bitch about this guy right now? He's got 0 weapons outside of his own 2 feet, his starting running back. And I mean, running backs, we all know they're pretty expendable and plug and play. And kind of sort of Cole Kmet, who's become he's not a true number 1, I don't think, but he's a perfectly fine tight end at this point. But he's not the guy you want leading the charge for your offensive receiving core. And it's like, dude, get this guy a couple of weapons and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And he's fucking tough as nails. I love how tough he is.
Yeah,
he just gets smoked and pops right back up.
If you're going to the game, I love you. More power to you. Much respect.
That's maybe going.
Respect.
Do you respect him?
Yeah.
Even Dave?
Not really. Not Dave. But yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We got 3 more weeks.
I gotta say, I like a Christmas Eve game too, because it's like everybody will be home. You'll watch a game with your dad, your brother, whoever, and it's something to do besides have to sit around and talk to everybody. You get a little distraction.
Anybody anything else, or anybody following recruiting for anything? I know it's coming.
Notre Dame got they took a dip today.
Did they?
Yeah,
as did Northwestern.
So this was, you could kind of smell it coming. But they had 2 5-star guys on defense at one point. This guy Keon Keeley is a big defensive end. He decommitted a little while ago, maybe earlier this season. But they had I think he was the number 1 safety in the country, Peyton Bowen, and it would appear that he just got the bag from Phil Knight. He's going to Oregon, so he was like a strong commit the entire process. So Notre Dame, they were as high as number 1 for a while. I looked it up just before we sat down here. They've slipped to number 9.
I feel like Oregon's making moves.
Nike money.
They got the Nike money. They got 2 top 10 recruits, 2 5-star guys to flip within 10 minutes of each other.
Notre Dame's up to 6.
Okay, so they must have added somebody else. Well, a different publication maybe, but
I'm on Rivals.
I went to 24/7 and 24/7 had them at 9th. So yeah, Notre Dame, I don't know. They got to figure that NIL out. Also the quarterback that I wanted, Devin Leary, the transfer quarterback from NC State. It looks like he's going to Kentucky. So they might be going with Buckner or Angeli. So it's been a little bit of a tough day for them, tough week for them. So not great.
Arch Manning did sign with Texas.
Was that the big football shakeup?
A lot of people thought that he was going to be the big flip. Yeah, because there was I'm hearing about a big. There was a weird rumor that he was going to Colorado. I saw.
Oh Jesus!
But yeah, there was like
they tried.
There was like someone who was saying shit that.
But that would kind of cuck his own son, so maybe not.
Would cuck his own son, and let's be honest. I don't think the Mannings don't need NIL money.
Yeah,
the Mannings are in it for the best opportunity.
They were really, I don't want to say weird, but
for that boy Arch.
They protected the shit out of him through that process.
Yes. Yeah, they did.
I'm also reading that he's not as good as an originally projected.
You take away his name, I'm sure that he's similar to other top recruits.
I wonder how much of that is just like it's kind of like it cuts both ways. Where maybe he was hyped too early, but now like people have been knowing his name since 8th grade.
Yeah.
So I feel like this happens with prospects across all sports, where it's like you know everything about him and he gets hyped to the moon, and then you start to pick apart his game a little bit too much. I feel like that happens in hockey quite a bit, because hockey has that, like, they call it the exceptional status, where you're allowed to go to junior year early. And then those guys are always, shouldn't say always, there's been a couple of examples where those guys didn't pan out, but they're usually a top 3 pick by the time the NHL draft comes along. And it's just like, but they get more criticism than anybody leading up to the draft, and then a team takes them 1, 2, or 3, and then they go on to have like a 10, 12 like year career where they're all-stars. So it's just like, it's just because people might know him too much. Dylan Edwards is another guy. Dion did flip from Notre Dame running back to Colorado. So
let's take a look at that, actually. How did Colorado end up?
They're currently 9th in the Pac-12. So not exactly great, but they did get 2 4-star guys, which I can't remember the last time Colorado made a dent with 4 stars. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
By rivals, they had 1, and then they're 64th in the team rankings. I would imagine that changes swiftly with Dion running the show there.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll make a bigger impact in the transfer portal too. And
Yeah, right.
so it's going to be an interesting experiment to watch. Like, can you just like be the coolest guy and have a competent Power 5 program?
Yeah, you're right.
We'll see.
But yeah, back to Arch. Also, Quinn Ewers. I was so high on him early in the year, and he cooled off significantly, I thought. So
He got hurt though too. I mean,
he did, yeah. And I mean, it sounds like Arch is going to redshirt, so Ewers will have another year to kind of see what happens, and then they'll have to make a decision. But we'll see.
I mean, obviously he's got a year to go, but he's gonna be a statue just like his dad and his or it's both of his uncles, right? It's Cooper's son.
Yeah.
It's Cooper's son. He's gonna be a statue in the pocket, and he is pretty frail, it looks like. So I could see him getting snapped
I've
in
seen
half.
highlights where he's moving around decently, but who knows?
That's high school, yeah.
But Peyton was decent moving in college. They would run like naked boots and stuff with him. He has that famous one against Alabama. But yeah, it's a fascinating thing just because he is the name. Like, he is the heir apparent to that, probably the finest football family of all time. Like, I don't even know who has 3 generations of
nobody
studs like that. So
Yeah, for sure.
it'll be interesting. I don't like Quinn Ewers because of his haircut, by the way. I don't think you.
I like that though. I like that.
I don't think you can win. This is like my biggest meatball take ever. But name me a quarterback who's won with a stupid haircut like that.
But I love a guy from Texas with that quarterback. With Texas quarterback with that haircut is good.
Won't work. It looks like who was the guy in the 80s from Oklahoma?
Bosworth?
Brian Bosworth. He's got like the Boz, but he's a quarterback. It's not gonna work.
I got one for you right here.
Who?
And I was just making sure that I was correct, so I did my homework.
Tebow had heavy
1985 Super Bowl champion quarterback Jim McMahon had a mullet that is very similar.
That was of the style in the 80s. That was just like everybody had a mullet in the 80s.
Fashion and style is cyclical.
Ewers having bleach blonde hair.
Kids,
10 years ago.
I want this on the record that he's not going to win anything.
And I want you to hold your breath because kids have bad haircuts nowadays.
Oh, the TikTok kids?
They have
They
bad
all-
With the
Yeah,
little
that's
poof
true.
out straight?
That's true.
Be careful what you say because Tommy Reese is bound to be looking at a couple bad haircut boys as we speak right now.
Not yet. Drew Pine, Arizona State, by the way.
Ooh, look at that.
Oh,
buck
did he
there.
go?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, Eddie, you had frosted
That's
fucking
Quinn Ewers
tips.
right there. Look
Yeah,
at that.
I'm aware. I'm not fucking casting judgment.
That
I'm
will
just
come
saying.
back.
I
Sure,
also
you're not
had-
casting judgment.
I said I like it. I
He
said
did
I
like
like
it.
it.
Bad
I'm
haircuts.
judging. I also did have bleach blonde hair when I was 18.
Yeah, I said I like it.
I wish I could find the pictures of it.
Can't find it either.
I
It's
feel-
in like the team photo because we all did it, but I haven't been able to find that picture in a
I mean,
while.
if you ask, there's bad hair at that age group forever.
Universally.
Going back.
To haircuts.
Yeah, going back
Yes.
to post World War II when they started fucking saying, "Can I have a number 1, 2, or 3?" Before it was just fucking.
Yeah, well, kick fucking Chief off his old man's stool and tell
I'm
him.
sitting here. I don't like that haircut.
Kick him off of it.
I think it's kind of...
What haircut do you prefer? Obviously, like the big pompadour or some kind of nice preppy thing.
Pompadour. What's
Yeah,
a
like what
pompadour?
Eddie does.
Oh yeah, it has got a good haircut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants that Mike Winchell.
I want I want a Mike Winchell look. I want something that you can like measure with a protractor. That's what I want out of a quarterback haircut.
He wants that Mike Winchell.
I want
that's
a
the
Kurt
worst
Kittner
haircut ever.
Sports Clips 8-minute cut. Somebody just goes in there like number 1.
Yeah,
The ladies
get
like,
me out of here.
You want
I used to
that,
do that for myself in college.
You cut your own hair?
I mean, I would buzz it. It's
Really?
not exactly rocket science. When I didn't want to pay $20 for a haircut wherever, I would just... I'd have my buddies touch it up.
Yeah,
in the
I
back
would
if I needed
buzz
help.
it in August, and then I would buzz it after hockey season, and I was down to 2 haircuts a year.
Really?
Yeah,
That surprises me.
right at the beginning of football camp, and then right at the beginning of
That
baseball
very
season.
surprised me.
Yeah.
That your mom would allow that.
My mom would allow me to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was not happy about the blonde hair. like the bleach blonde hair. She didn't like that when I came home for break, but she didn't mind the buzz, I don't think.
You got a good shag haircut.
Can I bring something else up?
What, you tried to grow a shag at St. Pat's? Couldn't do it. Got made fun of.
No, we weren't allowed to. I never tried to do a shag though. We weren't allowed to.
Notre Dame kids were though, were they? Loyola kids who had the shag on the north side.
Those kids could do whatever they wanted.
St. Rita
Loyola
kids had a
kids,
shag.
their parents wrote the check and you were allowed to do it.
There's some Rita kid listening to us right now, probably named Frank, trying to grow a shag. Knock it off, Frank.
No, Frank's too tough to wear a shag.
Can I tell you something?
What?
I do have a buddy named Frank who currently goes to St. Rita. He's a caddy at Ridge Country Club.
Oh,
I'm not going
really?
to out him out entirely, but dude, shout out Frank. Hope you're having a nice Christmas.
All right, I apologize, Frank.
I'm a little surprised. I just looked it up that Illinois is 10th in the Big Ten.
Now, here's why.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking for some
why.
answers.
26 commits, the most in conference, 0.5, 0.4, all 3 stars. I love that. Brett Bielema went out on Division Street and just fucking rounded up every Chicago 6 on the sidewalk. Like, there's no need to be sitting here in Illinois if you're trying to get to 8-4, 9-3 competitive development and take all your recruiting efforts into like, hey, you're a 5-star, you're a 4-star. I'd rather have them build a foundation with these young 3-stars, hunt a couple transfers.
Totally. So I have them. I'm showing them with 21, but I would have expected them to be higher than Maryland, higher than Northwestern after this year, and in the ballpark with like the Michigan States and the Iowas. And
Iowa's historically is pretty low.
they're 6th in the Big Ten right now. That's all, and like maybe they have a better development track. I don't know. Maybe, and it's like at this point, it's like, is there really probably that big of a difference between Iowa's 23 stars and Illinois' 19 3-stars? Maybe not, but it's
marginal. It's all about coaching at that point.
Exactly. So but I was surprised because they had such a nice year and it seemed like they had momentum. I thought they would have been maybe a little higher.
I think they're doing.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Bielema's honest, Pat. Hey, how about this? They got a kid. We talked about 1A, 2A, 3A, all that shit. Their top recruit is a 1A running back, Caden Fagan or something from Arthur, Illinois. Dude's an absolute freak, but he's only played against like 1A, 2A competition.
Big boy.
He's absolutely gigantic.
He's listed at 6'3", 221. That's a big boy.
And he's like running back trained, but like, could he be a D lineman? Could he?
Oh, really?
He's just supposed to be an absolute incredible athlete, and you don't really know the scale of the athlete because there's no comparison because he's from one of these places in Illinois where you're just against 1A, 2A comp.
Have you ever heard of Arthur?
Which usually works for baseball because then you can just take a baseball player and be like, well, whatever, just go throw him in a showcase. It doesn't work like that with football. You only play what's on your schedule. You can go do the 7-on-7 stuff, and they can with the stopwatch, but obviously.
Arthur, Illinois has a population of 2,200.
So I really like that kid. And then there's other stuff that I do like about him. They went national. A lot of the kids that are coming in are from different states and stuff. And like, I just think that's a good path. We've tried forever to make this presence in Chicago. It's going to take longer than that. You have to string together like sustained success.
Yeah.
So you can show up to Chicago and say like, hey, get the 4-star, get the 5-star kids confidently. So get your inroads with Florida. I think some Texas kids, some southern states, and then if these kids get playing time, it's easier to go recruit there.
Yep. And they plucked a New Jersey kid. That's their other 4-star. That's like the Bielema method back in the day when he was with Wisconsin. He was like, let's get all our kind of corn-fed guys, and then we'll pluck a couple guys from Florida, a couple guys from New Jersey,
California. Yep.
Get 2,000 yards rushing out of them and call it a day.
Bielema got a raise too.
Got an extension, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
$6 million now.
Yeah, they gotta have a nice NIL situation, right?
I think.
Yeah,
I would imagine it's a little better. Well,
You asked that. Now we're
gotta
going to
be
get an
better for
email.
basketball.
Well, I would think so.
Yeah, I talked to them about the NIL stuff. They do well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was on our show and he talked about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's get with the fucking Jags guy, right?
Well, there's like, I mean, not to be, it's like there's a lot of money in that alumni network.
Yeah.
It's not, maybe it's not like the diehard heavy hitting money, but there's money to be spent. I think what holds them up is they're like, are you guys going to spend it competently? At the end of the day, it is a fucking institution run by the state of Illinois. So it's hard to go to like billionaire networks. That said, they did get a billionaire, Larry Geese, cut like a fucking massive check to the school. They just started building stuff, just throwing his name on everything.
Yeah.
Broader thing, it's just good that you feel like we're not going to take a step back next year.
No,
these are two good years, two positive years in a row.
Yeah.
Let's get that Jags guy cutting some checks.
Mr. Khan.
Shad Khan, yeah.
I shared an elevator with him one time
Oh, really?
this year at the Wyoming game.
You smell his hair?
I said, hey, congratulations on Fulham and their success. He goes, we just lost this morning. I said, I wasn't talking about today's game. I just like what you guys are doing.
They've had a nice year.
So I went to school with Tony. He said, I'm sorry to hear that. I said, yeah, that's a great dad joke. Great mustache, too. It's good
He
to see
does
you.
have an elite mustache.
And he said, thank you. It's good talking to you. And he left. That's it.
I rode an elevator with Regis Philbin once.
How was that?
Taller or shorter than you think?
Shorter, and I let out like a big, I forget, like a sigh or like a sniff. Like, just, I forget what I did. It was at Sirius when I was interning.
Okay.
And Regis, he made like one of those, like, get a load of this guy, and like the whole elevator laughed. Like nobody knew what he said, but like the whole elevator, like, you know what I mean? It's like,
He's been getting
Regis.
those pity laughs for 40 years.
He's 1,000%. And Jenny
Never had
McCarthy
an
one time.
elevator. Who?
And Jenny McCarthy one time.
That's a good one.
That's serious.
I've never had
You should have said, hey, pull the audience on that one, Regis. Good job, pal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It
you
was
should have thrown him some.
Regis, yeah. It was, yeah, exactly. It was very, but it was just, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
one of those where
Yeah,
like
it was perfect.
nobody knew what he said, and the whole elevator erupted. Now it's just like
Hey, we just said something.
I don't like that.
he's been get a load of this guy.
No,
Yeah.
I actually do like it, and I like it if it's Eddie too, because otherwise the story is I rode an elevator with Regis one time, and then he got off. So the fact that I'd rather have the story where he like did a fucking Regis thing,
Yeah.
and yelled at him, and everyone fake laughed.
Yeah,
Have you ever
exactly.
rode an elevator with anybody cool?
Not with that high of a Q rating, I don't think.
I remember
no.
my dad coming home. He rode one with Norm Van Leer years ago. He's like, you'll never. Norm Van Leer was in the elevator with me today. I'm like, who in the fuck is that, dude?
Numbers
Like
retired.
20-something years ago.
Van
R.I.P.
Leer, Johnny Red Kerr died the same day.
I thought it was back-to-back days, but yeah.
Back to back, fucked up though.
Yeah.
Super sad, yeah.
Speaking of NIL, Ridge Wallet, ultra slim minimalist wallet. It holds up to 12 cards plus room for cash. There's over 30 colors and styles, including
Tell him about
carbon
the key
fiber.
fob holder.
The key fob
nice.
holder, carbon fiber and burnt titanium. The key fob holder.
Is there RFID blocking technology?
Yes, it's
what I
made
thought.
with RFID blocking technology that protects you from digital pickpocketers.
It's very important. It's very important.
You
in this
got
day and age.
pickpocketed, didn't you?
Digitally,
Yeah.
I've had my checking wiped out, and I've had multiple, and I could show you an email right now. I had an email from Kohl's that my membership has changed. I didn't even know I had a membership with Kohl's. It was from a guy, Mohammed Norel. So that guy was trying to get into my fake Kohl's account that I didn't know I had, and I probably did it because I didn't have this RFID technology blocking. And I got digitally had my wallet cleaned out. So I'm gonna get one of these Ridge wallets.
I'm on their website right now. I might get this 24 karat gold Ridge wallet
Go get it, Dave.
for Christmas for my dad.
They also have a new key case to help organize your keys. It secures anywhere from 2 to 6 keys. It organizes your keys in a compact silhouette and fold out for easy access. Get the best offer with my link, ridge.com/RLR. Go do it. Johnny Red Kerr, Norm Van Leer. I mean, the Bulls are a fucking disaster.
Sounds like it.
I would say that they're now in the worst spot of any Chicago team. I think you can make that argument because they're probably not going to hold on to their lottery pick. They have the max guy that his teammates are having a mutiny against him. Vooch is not what people wanted. Patrick Williams is trending towards being a bust. We haven't seen Lonzo in a year. The Bulls might be fucked. Worse than 5th out of 5 in this city.
It's a compelling
that's a
argument.
bad-
Are they 5 out of 5?
I think they are. 'Cause
13 months ago, I was yelled at on this podcast for not seeing red. 13 months ago.
Well, no one's saying stop seeing red.
I know, but it's just crazy how times have changed.
Well, if there's one
Quickly.
league it could turn around, it's the NBA.
Yes. It's genuinely sad how the balloon has popped so quickly.
instantly.
They didn't even give us one of those fucking nice balloons that like hovered above the ceiling for like
Nope.
I know what
days.
balloon you're talking
Yes,
about, Ed.
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
Oh, yeah, I know what balloon you're
This
talking about.
balloon fucking
Just went
shriveled.
like, ooh.
Yes, dude.
It was probably about this time last year when we were flying the most high. They were the 1 seed around right now.
Smoking everybody. It was actually fun to watch.
Fun to watch.
Yeah.
Shared the ball. Lonzo, you got more out of Io than anybody thought they would have. They were like you, for the first time in years, you were like, I'm going to watch the Bulls tonight. And
Dude.
it's bad.
It's
but
pain.
I would say in terms of teams that have it, if I were going to rank the futures of the teams, I would probably go Bears, Hawks, and then Cubs and White Sox are probably a toss-up.
Who would you say, Cubs or White Sox first?
I'd say different. I don't know. It depends on health.
Yeah.
They're just at completely different stages, but they're not far apart from like what they next year could look like. The
I
White
would
Sox
say
should
so.
have a better season by far.
Well,
they're more talented, but
Well, let's keep it Bulls.
Same thing.
Would you tear
I
it
want to
down?
stay Bulls. So I'm not prepared to answer that, unfortunately, because I don't have my hands around like a tear down and what that looks like, and like, okay, Io, then do you build around DeMar? DeMar's getting old.
DeMar's
like
33.
30,
right?
Yeah.
He's 33.
So like the huge issue that I have is the Vooch trade, because dude, Franz Wagner's a fucking stud.
Yep.
They'd take Wendell Carter back in a heartbeat.
Magic are happy with them.
Mm-hmm.
They got murdered on that trade, and all their weaknesses when they fucking lose, they don't have the toughness. It seems like a huge part of like where Vooch's weaknesses are not as weak Bulls talk, but I just feel like Vooch's weaknesses are so fucking weak on this team. Like they don't have anybody to spell Vooch with. So it's like, oh, well, he's on roller skates once you put him past the free throw line. You're goddamn right. Look at that guy try and play pick and roll defense. It's bad.
Yeah.
But then you know what? There's tensions in the team. Someone say it. Someone say Zach LaVine's a bad leader.
That's what people are saying.
Yeah, someone just say
been
it. That's the truth.
Well, Woj said it, and if Woj says it,
Shams
that's
said
gospel.
it.
Shams said
or
it.
Shams
Yeah.
said it. That's what I
Friend of
meant.
the program.
Yeah.
How do I say your name?
But it has to be pretty bad if it's like mid-game. If it's at halftime, it was halftime of the Timberwolves game where like it sounds like it escalated to like people had to be separated. That they're calling him out.
He's a finger pointer.
You gonna take a victory lap on that or no?
I can't
Yeah,
because
you came back in.
I retracted.
He started seeing red.
Yeah, I retracted, and he was saying all the right things, and it was like even if it was like coached, I bought it.
You caved.
I did.
You caved. Everyone was so mad at you.
I know people
Yeah.
were mad, and I relented. I wish I didn't. This is where I should have just been more stubborn because I
Could have danced on some graves.
I would have, and a lot of people have been tagging me of being like, oh, like the hashtag Chief was right or whatever.
Yeah.
And I can't even retweet him because I'm no longer right because I got on board with Levine.
Respect to you, because a lot of people wouldn't care, and they would have just went back to reverting to
Yeah,
their original take. So I respect that a lot that you don't do that.
sucks. I would love to. I might just have to reverse the reverse and just be like starting fresh with
But
it.
do you, okay, genuinely, where are you at now?
he
do you-
said they have the worst future of.
I
Well,
think
do you think Zach could go back to form, or do you think this is who he is?
I don't know. It sounds like this is probably, if it's all of his teammates have issues with him, it sounds like this is probably who he is and who he's always been. So I don't know what the market is for him, but to your question, Carl, you're not winning big with this group, I think, clearly. So then it's like, are you just trying to middle and hope that you get it turned around enough to do what you did last year, which is lose in the first round? I don't know if that's enough. So it depends on what your goals are. If you want to just jerry it and get to the playoffs and make some money, extra revenue from making the playoffs, then I think you could probably cobble something together around this core to do that, to finish 7th, something like that. But I don't know what's the point in that. So then it's like we're back on the merry-go-round.
And you spoke pretty frank there, Carl. Do you think he bad leader? You just
Yeah, I mean, no one has bad stuff to say about DeMar.
That's true.
You can tell that DeMar is not an issue character-wise on any level.
I mean, Zach chalked it up. He's like, "Hey, man, we're just teammates. We argue, we fight." Like, it
Which I
happens.
do get, too, because
Yeah.
that does happen.
I totally,
absolutely
yeah. I
happens,
mean,
yeah.
and that's going to be like
And I
a
think
great
that,
default for Zach LaVine. The issue with the NBA, or talking about this, is that you need an alpha male in an NBA locker room to win a championship. Do you need 2 of them? Do you need 3 of them? I know for sure you need somebody to be in control of that team so that when it's under 2 minutes, that's a guy. And so the fact there was confusion between those two who takes the last shot, and it just permeates from there. Zach LaVine is not.
He's not an alpha, but he's masquerading as an alpha.
The problem is he has all the talent. The
Right.
difference now,
definitely.
and that's obviously the hardest part. The hardest part is being as talented as Zach LaVine. Now the difference between him being the absolute best, as you see, like the absolute best players in the NBA, are murders. They are stone cold, fucking competitive murders. They don't point fingers. Just give me the fucking ball right now. Like, you say whatever you want about Kevin Durant being goofy and soft and liking stuff on Twitter, bro. It's under 2 minutes, and you give that motherfucker the ball. He will create a wide open shot for himself.
Yep.
He doesn't miss free. You go down the line with these guys. No, Zach LaVine's not that. Zach LaVine's 2 minutes in being like, where's my screen? Give me the, I don't know.
Yeah. No,
I think it's tough with the Bulls is because Zach LaVine's getting $10 million more than like DeMar, the second highest paid player on the team. So when you're making $10 million more than your leading scorer, when it comes to crunch time, you're like, hey, Zach, where are you at? And if he's not there, and it's been going on, it feels like this whole season, in crunch time, it's who's getting the ball. It's going to be DeMar. And it's probably a point where they're like, hey, Zach, you're the highest paid player in this team. You're getting $27.5 million. Like, start playing like it. And I think, Eddie, with your question of, like, where are we at with the Bulls, it hit me yesterday. I was thinking about it, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't have all the details or a session plan for the Bulls. But I think if we're going to escape basketball purgatory, we have to kind of rip it down. Zach is worth a lot. DeMar, like you said, I think he maybe not a ton. He's not like a Kevin Durant trade package, but he's worth something. And DeMar's worth something. Vooch is worth something. I think the three of them, like you're saying, Chief, like you're not going to get out. You maybe get out the first round with this group, but I don't know.
Well, here's the issue. I think, Lance, is
Are they even going to make the playoffs?
I don't foresee any way that this. And I'm just projecting. I don't know. I could get better. Who knows? But I mean, just in your gut, you feel this ends where he's going to demand a trade at some point, right?
Yeah.
So to Danny's point, now younger guy, what are you, 25?
Yep.
All right. So we've seen how many it's just a different perspective as we've learned. So it's interesting that he's ready to run headfirst into a rebuild at this point. I like Chief's point. If you're not in the NBA, if you're not going to get, if you're good enough to win it all.
Well, it's like how high is up with this group? Like Lance said, maybe if everything goes perfect and everyone's healthy and they squash these things, maybe they win one round.
You got to go add that killer. You got to add like a Kevin Durant. You got to have somebody that it's like, how are you going to get that? That's why it's almost like we're stuck in basketball purgatory. We gambled on the fact that give Zach LaVine $27.5 million, he'll become that killer. Oh, he hasn't been there.
Patrick Williams being good for 6 and 2.
Yeah, true.
Is
tough look for AK though, man.
Yeah,
Very-
Laurie's having 23 and 9 right now, I think. So
I mean, extremely tough look for him.
Yeah,
extremely tough look for him. I mean, he came in.
He was the toast of the town for a minute.
He watched half a season. He completely scraped everything out. He's like, all right, here's what I want. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to retool with these guys who are on the wrong side of 30, and we're going to make this work. And I'm going to give this big deal to Zach LaVine. I think this will be good enough. Fucking wasn't.
it ain't.
It was not. It ain't.
Yeah.
I do think. Yeah, I don't know. I would just the way the NBA works. It's just like you just feel that, and also you look at the flip side. Like, I mean, I know it was an AK's move, but maybe we should have just built around Jimmy. I mean, he took his team to a finals.
Yeah, he did. That was like that was the COVID final, though.
Well, yeah, it was, but still, like.
The Heat are legit. Way more fucking legit than the Bulls are.
Way more legit, dude. And then you look at it now.
Even though the Bulls just beat them last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I know, one game in December, who cares? But yeah, no, I know. It is crazy that he's still doing that. Trade feels like it was 10 years ago.
Yeah. So, and then you look at the pieces now, and it's like, oh, fuck, Zach Laurie. Like, wow, we did get something. Now we fucking basically.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? Like, there's still like Arturis. All right, he got himself into this. Now he's going to get himself out. We'll see what he does.
Yeah, it is just crazy that they could. I think that lottery pick from the Vooch trade this year is top 3 or 4 protected. But it's like you're probably going to be in that 5 to 10 range. So you have another lottery pick that is Vooch.
Yeah,
that's.
I think we were also like just fucking popcorn in the air, like feet up, like just so blinded by like, oh, this is great. Like,
it's better than it was.
Yeah, it's better than it was. Like, yeah, everything like AK we trust. And then now you look back, you're like, man.
But then, all right, Laurie played like a bitch.
He did.
How many times did we go into a season and be like, all right, well, now they're going to ask more for Laurie? But then, I know Boylan fucked with him.
Yeah, did he
Boylan
ever play
was
for
bad.
Donovan?
No.
No, okay, right. So
Yeah, but I would say
Wendell's much better. When Wendell was here, he had a much lower.
for sure.
Yeah.
But I would say at the time, I was like, I don't know. I'll go back and look at my tweets. Maybe I'm wrong. But I wasn't so much with Wendell, but I remember being like, ooh, the draft picks feel weird in the Wendell.
A lot of
trade.
draft picks.
Yeah, I remember feeling that in the moment, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll look.
Well, then I think the two Bulls are looking at it being like, well, we're going to pick fucking late. We get Vooch. If we're
Probably,
26.
yeah.
And that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Picking
because like how many? I feel
picking
like,
8 and 18 is a huge difference.
Yeah, because I feel like I feel like after the lottery, it's like you're lucky if that guy plays in the NBA at all. So
yeah, if you get productive minutes from that guy, like 3 years after you draft him, and he's playing like 18 minutes a game,
you're, like,
and you
thrilled
draft him
with it.
after the 15th pick, it's a good pick.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler, off the top of my mind, is speaking of Jimmy Butler, is the only like late first round pick that I
Turned
can
into
think
a
of
stud.
that turned into like a superstar.
Sorry.
What is he, like 30th overall or something?
yeah, into a star.
Boozer.
Yeah, Boozer. Like right now, maybe like he's not a star, but Jalen Brunson was.
He's
turned into a better player.
I didn't
than
think he was
people
good. I
thought.
thought he was too slow.
Yeah, he's smart as hell. A local. Kid.
Yeah.
Vernon Hills.
Stevenson.
Yeah.
He was on that Nova
Same with
championship team.
Sabatello.
I had to go against Jalen Brunson one time in like summer league high school basketball.
How'd that
Break you
go?
down?
He is absolutely too fast for me. For you to say he's too slow to the NBA just like hurt my soul.
Well, you bite on up fakes. That's on tape. So
Yeah, but I also got like crazy good hands. I could block you on the way down.
yeah.
Hey, speaking of crazy good hands, you guys should put yourself in the hands of Innovative Care for all your ADHD management. Guys, check them out. Take insurance. Must be a resident of Illinois. Innovative, guys. Big partner of the show. Recommend you guys go check them out. Getting your ADHD medication refilled is a pain in the ass. Innovative's located right here in Chicago. They've simplified the management. So here's what you guys need to know. It's a real medical clinic, not one of those online-only refill services. Innovative uses telemedicine to save you time, and most ADHD patients only come in twice per year. How about that? And they take insurance. If you're a resident of Illinois, visit innovativeadhd.com. That's innovativeadhd.com to request a visit. That's innovativeadhd.com. Check them out, guys. Make it easy. Simplify your medication.
The telemedicine is huge. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that you could go in twice per year and then after that you could do everything virtual is very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And like they said, they take insurance. A lot of places don't do that. So make sure you check them out. Innovativeadhd.com. Innovativeadhd.com.
Yeah, you guys can, stream. Telemedicine. Wi-Fi doesn't even need to be that fucking straight. Just have a Wi-Fi.
That's it. That's all you need.
That's it.
Log in.
How much time do you want to do this for? We go for like hours. No, we talked last week about the Cubs and committing and terms and stuff, and so we said like 13 years crazy. As a baseball fan, I like 13 years. As a baseball fan, I want to see the biggest contracts imaginable.
Why is that?
Is it specific? Because it's just good for the health of the game. I want guys to get paid. I want minor leaguers to get paid. I want owners to be pressured to pay. I want the more that they're spending money, the more the Lux tax goes up, and then it's good for the health of the game. You know, take a young player who's like in between options and stuff, and then you see like, holy fuck, Carlos Correa just got 300, whatever, now 15 million, but like 280, 260, 300. Like you're starting to see some of these deals are just normalized to be massive if you are a productive player in the big leagues. So
That's the new norm.
it's good for the health of baseball. Like it'll push Jerry. Like the only way to get the White Sox to spend more money is either Jerry dies or it just gets to a situation where like you can't not spend money at all. You can't not. So the issue with the Cubs is like if they didn't spend money this year, I would not want to see terms. I don't want to see years go overboard. I did not want to see Dansby Swanson for 10 years. Would have been 7. Still a lot too. It's a lot of years.
How old is he now?
30. So, it's still a long fucking time,
Yeah.
but we're like normalizing a 7-year, $177 million deal is like a bargain. But relative to this year, it is a bargain.
It is crazy that you sign these terms and you're like, well, you probably just hope to get 5 good years, right? And the other 2 are like,
Yeah, I mean,
So you're hoping to compete in that 5-year window where you're paying for that.
yeah, he'll make everybody a little bit better this year. But yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
You're maybe 6 years, maybe all 7.
But like I keep saying on that note is people are so fixated on the back ends of these deals. Bryce Harper's making, I think, 25.3 AAV. Swanson, what's he at? 7. So like
25.4.
25.4. I mean, especially with Cohen just saying fuck you to the rest of baseball, that's not going to be a large AAV 7 years from now. It's not going to be. You just said it yourself, Carl, and this is what I was talking about last week or the week before when we were talking about Correa and Swanson and all them. Is you got to the pace is it's exponential growth right now with these contracts, and that's why I couldn't give a flying fuck less what the latter half of these deals look like, because they're just going to keep going up and up and up and up. And in another 5 years, there's going to be a new CBA. There's going to be new TV revenue streams coming in, all these streaming deals. There's so much money pouring into that sport. People are conditioned to think that teams can't afford these deals. Yes, they can. They absolutely can. And I think that the 7 for 177, that's a great deal for the Chicago Cubs, finding a premier up the middle player that he knows how to play. He's a quality hitter. I don't know how SunKist Park, whatever fucking park it is. Truist Park.
Close.
I don't know how that stadium plays offensively, but Dansby Swanson he's going to just be a steady presence in the first 1 or 2 spots in the lineup or in the middle third. And I think that like Cubs fans should be elated about it, but I don't think that Cubs fans should be like, okay, this is it. I think that the Chicago Cubs, like Chief and I just went and did the Chris Kindle thing last weekend, and it's a money printing machine. That stadium and that entire area, you should say, okay, who's next? Don't rest on laurels. I mean, I didn't think after Correa signed originally with San Fran, I didn't think that the Cubs were going to sink any money into like a premier free agent. They did with Swanson. Depending on how you look at Swanson as a player, I'd say he's more tier 2, which is not a bad thing. But that, like, more. Mm-hmm. Demand more. And that's not an unfair ask. That's absolutely not an unfair ask.
I'm not going to use Steve Cohen as a reason to ask for more, though.
You have to. That's the state of baseball. That is the state of baseball.
The Mets made $300 million last year in revenue. They're going to spend $500 million in payroll this year.
I'm pretty sure you just completely made up that number because
that's what it's rumored in the fucking whatever boards of research I did for
Forbes
on it.
Those numbers are always fucked up. The only organization you can go off is the Atlanta Braves because their finances are completely public.
So is the Blue Jays.
Because
it doesn't matter.
Yes.
My point is this: if it's $400 million, the Mets are operating at a deficit next year.
Yeah, they just don't.
They're spending $500 million on payroll this year. So like, let's see how the Mets play out for a minute before we start saying like this is where it's going. It's good for baseball that other owners are going to have to spend more money, and it raises the floor of like, you want to pony up, you got to go spend some fucking money. Like Tom Ricketts never in 1,000 years would have given the contract to Dansby Swanson that he got. But it's like, do you see what Xander gets and what Trey gets and what Carlos gets? Now, Carlos Correa is not even a play shortstop, 12 years, $315 million. Won't even play shortstop.
And people were bitching about him having to move to third base in the latter half of the original contract to San Francisco. Oh, he's not an up-the-middle player. You sign the best players when they're available.
So you think just going back to like what the Mets are doing should be seen as like atypical, anomalous. They're changing the market right now. But like the Cubs don't operate the way the Mets operate. And the Dodgers don't operate the way the Cubs operate. It's really hard to look at what Steve Cohen does and then apply that to your team. Steve Cohen
You
has
have to,
10
though.
to like $12 billion. He's got 3 times as much money as the next person. He's a diehard Mets fan and said he was like Steve Cohen can pay Carlos Correa, make that commitment, then walk over on his yacht to his computer, click his mouse like 6 times, and then be like, all right, we just got the $28 million needed for him. No disrespect to Tom Ricketts, he can't do like I know they're billionaires and they're rich. But the way that Steve Cohen is rich in his liquidity, in his access to fucking just easily convertible, and how much he's commingled his investments to just say like, that's fine, I'll take it. He's going to take a bath on the 2023 Mets, and he'll make his investment back if they win the World Series.
When they
and I don't think you're going to get 30 fucking billionaires to be walking around playing that game. It's just not going to happen. Now Steve Cohen can play the game, and we'll see. It'll be interesting. Now, come back 5 years. If they lose 5 years in a row, they don't win a World Series, and it's like $500 million this year. It was $280 last year. He's going to spend $220 million more next year.
What would Steve Cohen say about that?
I don't know how high it goes. He said he had to win a World Series 3 years within owning the team, so he's going into his 3rd year now, and he's like, "Well, fucking pay whatever it takes." So, my point is, now they go lose in the playoffs. They weren't even close to beating the Padres this year. It was not close.
It was 4-1 series, I want to say.
Badly embarrassed in 4 games in the NLDS.
So if Steve Cohen then is like, I don't know, what more can you do? Let me go through this lineup quickly. The catchers like Nito or Navarez, but they have the number 1 catching prospect in baseball and like a top 5 prospect in baseball. Carlos Correa at 3rd base, Lindor at shortstop, Jeff McNeil at 2nd base, Pete Alonso at 1st base. That's a starting
All-star
infield
team.
of the National League All-Star.
Yeah.
Brandon Nimmo's in center field.
He's a stud.
Starlin Marte's in right field.
Stud.
Mark Canna is in left field, who's productive.
Great player.
If he's hurt, you move McNeil to left field. Then you have the number 1
Escobar.
3rd base prospect in baseball. You move him up to 3rd base, and Correa can go play 2nd base. You have the 2 top prospects at their position in the 2 positions they don't really have filled. Now imagine this. They don't win the World Series. Then
Very
what?
plausible.
So you almost have to like cheer against
But
the Mets.
so what did he buy the Mets for?
I don't know, $1.9 billion.
Whatever it was. When he sells that
1.7.
team, I'm assuming he's 70 years old. He looks about 70, I would say. When he's looking to sell that team, pre-death, post-death, whenever.
$2.4 billion.
I think it's
2.4 billion.
57.
Okay, so when he's
66.
80 years, what's the value of that team going to be? And he owns about 95% of the Mets, which is atypical because usually it's ownership groups opposed to just a dictator of an owner.
Well, that's another reason why, even to Carl's point, that 30 owners can't operate. Their 30 teams can't operate that way because
You absolutely can.
No, they
because
can't. They can't. Not everybody can walk around and take a $200 million loss on payroll and be
Jerry
like, whatever, I'm a
Reinsdorf
billionaire.
bought the White Sox for $19 million. That's a
That doesn't mean he has that money right now. He has to sell the team to get that money. Like, you just has that asset. It's like, oh, the house is worth this. It's like a guy walking around and be like, do you know what I can sell my house for? It's like, that doesn't
for
mean
any fucking player on the planet.
So then is that
against
how
the
these
wealth
guys
of
run
his
their
organization?
business? Is that how he runs his business? Is
So
that
when
how
he
Jerry
sells-
Reinsdorf became a billionaire by making bad business decisions?
How is that a bad business decision?
You think that because the team is worth $2 billion that Jerry Reinsdorf has $2 billion. And that's what people think, and it's crazy.
That is absolutely not what I think, and I just said I just said that.
Okay.
He bought that team for $19 million in 1978, I think it was.
You
It's
want
worth
Jerry
over $2
Reinsdorf
billion.
to spend like Steve Cohen. Say it out loud.
I would like him to spend not like a fucking a mid-market, small market Milwaukee Brewers team. Okay?
Yeah,
He's never given out a contract over 5 years, and he's one of 3 teams left to never give out a $100 million deal. Is that? I'm not saying go fucking bananas and have a $500 million payroll like Steve Cohen. Is it fair to say I want better players in the championship window that you said you directed your fucking GM and said things are gonna change? They said this to our faces, that we want to be a destination for the best players if we don't convert on Machado and Harper.
My point is, you just can't. No one's disagreeing with anything you said.
You just did.
This came out because I'm saying what Steve Cohen's doing should not influence the way you are mad about your team.
It should or shouldn't
like Steve
happen.
Cohen just did a $300 million deal, like in the middle of the night,
Drinking martinis.
on the
That's
news
awesome.
that like medicals were denied. Hey, we got bad medicals from San Fran. Do you want this guy? Yes.
Has anybody seen that ever in the history of pro? We should be talking about Steve Cohen as like changing pro sports, period, and the expectations people can carry, period. My point is,
how are you contradicting yourself so many different times?
Because now if you're going to show up and be like Jerry Reinsdorf, I expect you to act like Steve Cohen. It's
I
not
didn't
ever
say
gonna,
that.
No. Nothing that
I didn't
Steve
say that.
Nothing that Steve Cohen does is going to get your owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, to act fucking differently. What Steve Cohen can do is change the landscape of baseball where Jerry Reinsdorf has to get out.
It already is. You just said that the Chicago Cubs wouldn't have signed Dansby Swanson and Tom Ricketts wouldn't have signed
would not pay the price years ago if you said this is what it's going to cost to get Dansby Swanson without knowing the rest of the market.
You're contradicting yourself like 18 different times in this. Like, should they or should they not do that?
Should not do what?
Try to operate like Steve Cohen.
The Cubs should absolutely not pursue absolutely not.
You're a fucking lunatic.
What business is Tom Ricketts going to dip in for makeup? Like, where does he get Where's he going to get $300 million cash to just move over to the Cubs? We've seen it. Didn't happen during COVID. Didn't happen when they couldn't sign any of those guys. They don't operate like that. It's clear. I went through a whole thing last week about Crane Kenny, the way he operates. They don't give the front office enough of a long-term prediction. It's hard to make long-term commitments. Like, the Cubs had their hand forced. If you want Dansby Swanson to play shortstop, this is what it costs now. My point is Tom Ricketts would, 3 years ago, if you told him that, he would have gotten up and walked away. Now, what's the case? 11 years here, 11 years here, 13 years here. So if you want Dansby Swanson, this is what you have to do. Great, 7 years. They didn't extend himself. They didn't go 10 years. They didn't go 12 years. You're not seeing ridiculous stuff. Brandon Nimmo was a homegrown player that they're not going to pay $21 million a year because just out of the convenience of not having to go find a center fielder. That's an insane thing to do.
It's not insane. It's not insane.
So then now we just have difference of opinion of like it is an insane thing that they're going to spend $500 million on their payroll next year. And they just
who's the next highest?
Bro, the next highest is like maybe the Phillies at 260.
Okay,
like last
so
year they
like,
were $50 million higher than the next guys.
Yeah.
And now they just added $220 million on top of that. Like they're fucking you could split them in half and they would still be like the biggest spenders in baseball. It's an insane thing. Now, if it works out, good for fucking him. You're going to need like 3 World Series championships to pay off that investment. It's going to have to be like Man City turning around becoming Man City. It's like
you won't.
Because the Yankees are Man United.
Yeah.
So he's making this massive bet that this can become, that the Mets can be like 10, 15, 20 years from now. You're looking back and you're like, that used to be a Yankees town. Think of how crazy that is.
Yeah. Do you think he's making that bet or do you think he's just like, I don't give a fuck?
I think he wants to win a World Series very badly. And I think he grew up in a town that was fucking George Steinbrenner's town and probably is one of those guys who's like, if I could ever do it, like I would do it this way and that way. And he's maniacal and evil enough to amass that much money. And now he can
Isn't
he
the
can
show
just
Billions
go,
based on him? Isn't that the thing? I'm pretty sure that
I don't know. I
there are
haven't seen an
stories
episode.
there's stories where
Was the terms the same with the Giants?
No, it was
it's
13 for 350 versus what he now has, 12 for 315. So slightly less AV and a year less term length. But like you now see why there was this 6 owners who wanted absolutely nothing to do with this because it is going to make people spend more, and we've already established that it has. And 2, like I will never get over a fan, especially not wanting not borderline demanding his owner and his organization to try to acquire the best talent possible.
I demand that the team puts himself in the best position to be as good as they can for as long as they can with what they have in front of them, which is different than being like, well, I want to win 90 games next year. And then it's like, well, what about the next year? What about the year after that? What about the year after that? What about the minor league prospects? What about the development issues? Like, I think the Cubs farm system's overrated. You know, I don't think they have enough there to be like, well, we got this guy in center. And like, it is overrated. It's just going to take more than 1 season and 2 seasons and 3. You have to build a fucking culture. And like, look how...
So
you know what's crazy is that if the Mets and the Astros played a 7-game series right now, I would take the Astros as a heavy fucking favorite. heavy favorite. And they're going to operate at like 36% of their payroll.
Well,
less than that.
It sounds
You
like
should go work for a front office then and figure out a way to get like the most efficient spending possible, because like it's not our money. I don't understand why any fan on the planet would be like, oh, like you shouldn't do this. It's too much money. What are you talking about?
If they're going to come back a year later and be like, well, we don't have the money to make the move,
Right.
like that's why it matters. I don't care. It's because I can't go buy groceries.
They can though. That's the point.
But
they're handed $130 million. That's the starting point. They are handed $130 million.
How much does it cost to operate a baseball team?
I have no fucking clue.
Well, what if it costs baseball team payroll aside? Just have the insurance for the ballpark, having all the salespeople, everything. What if that costs $130 million? Now that money that you got, it gets you back to zero. So like I think it's
what
more
if you're just throwing numbers. It's
I'm
fair,
saying,
it's
but
fair.
so are you. Like you're saying, I have no idea. Well, it costs money to run a business.
Of course it
Right.
does.
So what it sounds like is that you want to have a sustainable model and hope that you get the formula right. Kind of like I remember what Theo said when he first came in, like we want to be in a position to win 90 to 95 games every year. And it's like, okay, great. And you're kind of saying like you will sign up for strike while the iron's hot, and then we'll do like a boom bust cycle.
No, absolutely not.
He just wants some money there every year, always.
But that's...
I've never seen the money. I've never seen the money.
That's different. But
other organizations have never seen the money. There was nothing wrong with Carlos Correa. That was an owner getting cold feet because of fucking money, because it affects his piggy bank, not wins and losses. That's all it boils down to.
Well,
it was a issue that came up from pre-draft. That's what the issue was. It was a pre-draft, like he had a contusion in his shoulder or something that, we never checked this out. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It was an owner getting cold feet because he saw $350 million for a stud player. That's all it was.
But you are more frustrated now because you think now is the time for your boom, because you did all these things to put yourself in a position where you have...
I'm pissed. I was pissed for Cubs fans last week. I am pissed for Giants fans right now. There needs to be more Steve Cohens. Not these guys that do it for the fucking business. I want baseball to be a healthy sport. It's a dying sport. Everybody already knows that. These owners make money hand over fucking fist. And here's another thing. I looked this up this morning.
Should fight for a salary cap, then, Dave.
That'll never, ever, ever in a million years happen.
You should be dying for it, then.
The PA would never let that happen.
You should want it.
I don't want that to happen, but
you should, though.
I don't want that. I want
you should personally
healthy baseball.
Want it, though.
Healthy baseball.
You should personally want a salary cap.
What would a salary cap do?
Jerry Reinsdorf, his other team, had to give Zach LaVine $250 million. White Sox haven't even sniffed that because they don't have to.
Salary cap fix the NHL.
Different.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
So every NFL team has to spend between 185 and
There's
like
a floor.
It's
205.
like 95% of the cap.
That's what I'm saying. There's a floor.
They're spending the exact amount.
All right,
but,
so then it just comes down to who can run a better
And here's the funny thing.
The floor would help.
So,
White Sox.
So I was reading this morning. I'll pull up the tweet because I wasn't exactly sure where the luxury tax money went to. Did it go to like charities? Did it go to player fund? So $13 million is and this is $13 million. That's a set rate from what I understand. All the overage taxes, it could be $100 million in overages combined from each of the 30 teams. Obviously, it's only a handful of teams that go over the luxury tax. And then after that, 50% is divvied up to it was like the MLB charity or whatever. And then the other 50% is handed out to the teams that did not exceed the luxury tax. So there's more money coming in right there. And the Mets on their own this year will be at least, and there's still players to be signed, $111 million over that tax. So 50% of that after $13 million, that's not even added. I'm doing numbers in my head. Like that's $25 million per team when you add up the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Padres, and all the overages. It's a ton of money coming in. It's a ton of money coming in. A ton of money. So when I hear, money, I don't want to hear it. You want to put the best team on the field possible, go sign the best players when they're free agents. Or don't let them become free agents. I don't understand why that's a selfish ask as a fan.
It's not a selfish ask at all. It's your ask. That's your personal opinion. That's how you feel.
It's
And
how
that's
everybody
it.
should feel. I'm not going to fucking.
But now
I'm not
this
going
is where we
to
get
shill for
into it's
ownership.
like, well, this is how we have to feel. That's not how I feel. That's how you feel.
I don't, but it
also
doesn't
just-
compute in my brain why people will shill for owners that are just they're printing money
I'm not
off these
shilling
teams.
for anybody, man.
That's
saying,
exactly
like,
what you're doing if you're saying you shouldn't. It's like, oh, they can't. Yes, the Ricketts could have signed Carlos Correa a $300+ million deal. Yes, they could have. Without any shadow of a doubt, they absolutely could have. Especially considering where they are in the state of their organization right now. And if I were a Cubs fan, I mean, if you don't want Carlos Correa for you don't like him as a player, that's completely different. I disagree, but money and term length, what are we talking about? That $25 million he's making in 2035 or whatever, that's fucking nothing. That's nothing. Lurie Garcias of the world will be making that in 2032, 2035. I hate it. I hate every owner on the planet other than Steve Cohen and the Dodgers group. What's his name?
Magic Johnson.
I think he's got like a percentage, but yeah, his group.
Anything on Benintendi?
It's a fine signing, and but like this is directly because of all the signings prior to him this winter. Andrew Benintendi is a fine baseball player. Perfect complementary piece on just about any team around. You know, nothing flashy about him. He's not dropping 30 dingers a year. He's just fine. I like it, but that signing also, it's like, all right, he's fine so long as the rest of the team does what, they play to the prospect rankings they had coming up, or they stay healthy. That's the thing I like the most about him is he's going to play 135 times this year.
Yeah.
This coming year, which nobody on the White Sox aside from Lurie fucking Garcia does.
Okay.
But yeah, what do you think about Andrew Benintendi, Ed? He's a good player.
I'll be honest. I know we saw the same thing with Grandal, and then I saw 575, and then highest ever. It embarrassed me, and I know it embarrasses you too.
So you're on my side.
I'm on your side when it comes to like the White Sox is embarrassing. Like I'm on Carl's side where it's like the aspect of crying broke. That's the perspective where it's like, and I see to a degree what you're saying where it's like they're not being truthful, but I think what Carl's trying to say is it's like if they do make that signing, then they're to a degree, right, Carl? Where you're like, that's what they're going to say in the future, where it's like, well, we did this, we can't go out and do that next year.
They
it's just an
always can.
excuse.
I know you're saying that, but that's
Becomes
what
a
they're going to
logjam.
say.
Yes.
Like, that's
Like-
how it works.
But I'm also forecasting a little bit the Cubs. Like I said last week or the week before, there is nothing in terms of free agents on the horizon.
Yeah, but like
strike while you can.
the Cubs
You
held
can also
back.
make trades too.
Why would you
they've got a
spend prospect
couple-
capital when you can just spend capital?
Well, I mean, if Brad Boxberger for $2.5 million is a great reliever at the All-Star break, like that's what
Fine.
I'm saying. You can go add depth to your system. Bellinger at $17.5 million. Yeah, it's a risk. He hit 210 last year, but people shit on Cody Bellinger from 2020 COVID when he had a 44 OPS plus. Last year it was 78 or 80 or something. Like it was not great, Bob, but you're like hopeful in that it's either bounce back and it's huge and you capture some momentum and you're rolling, but you have to be realistic. That's it. You have to be realistic. You're a White Sox fan. You guys should run away with that division. Your biggest fucking competition is the Guardians and like Tito Francona's culture. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Seriously. Like, the Cardinals have Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, like world-class farm system year after year. Fucking, I know I'm not even naming half the people I should be naming when I say they just signed Wilson Contreras after beating the Cubs by 19 games in the division last year. Like the Brewers have an unbelievable pitching staff that the Cubs can't figure out. They just beat the shit out of the Cubs year in, year out. So the Cubs to get better next year, sure could go dump a ton of money in here, and then they're just going to play catch up on the business, and they're going to raise prices, and they're going to isolate fans. It's just a fucking nightmare. It's a horrible fan experience. Don't sit here and say I don't have criticisms about the Cubs. Absolutely have major criticisms about them. But, like, let's be realistic. Let's win a division. Let's show up and feel good about the team on paper.
I don't know. They got a kid named Matt Mervis who had an slugged 700 in the Arizona Fall League. I think it was a record. Anybody who had more than 50 plate appearances. So they'll give this kid some time, and it's going to take time, and you're going to figure out the fuck. So then they do that, or they give Josh Bell $16.5 million because they can. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the fucking right answer is. I just try to follow it in a way where it's like, all right, does this make sense to me? Is this a good spend? I like what they're doing with Dansby Swanson. They move Nico Horner over to second. The pitching staff pitches to contact like crazy, more than any other team in baseball. And you have the most elite defensive middle infield prospect. It's or tandem. Like, that's a smart little thing. There's a lot to be said about this offseason.
I do kind of think too, Dave, that the owners are kind of within their rights to have a little bit of say when it comes to these mega deals, dude.
No shit.
I do. Like if now it's a little different. Like
they
Tom, where it's like, hey, let's do
say.
something. But look at the fucking Hayward deal, dude. That was a fucking monstrosity, dude. And like he signed off on it. What?
I mean, you're arguing exceptions. Typically, when you get a free agent at age 26,
I don't know if I am.
It's the biggest deal. The Lester deal goes really well. The Hayward deal is a disaster, and then they try to make deals to pick up for that. Chatwood, disaster. Brandon Morrow, absolute fucking disaster. Darvish was a disaster until they were able to trade him. Until he had a good second half. So Tom Ricketts, I don't think he's sitting around being like, well, if you spend money, it's automatically a good thing.
I'm not saying that it's automatic. I'm saying all these players, they're one big math problem at this point in baseball, in the era of baseball that we're in right now. You can project them out pretty good. Obviously, some guys fall on their face. Obviously, some guys play way above their what they're getting paid, and that's always going to happen because baseball players aren't computers in the end, as much as front offices and organizations try to turn them into just math problems. But like when you have a good player available, go and sign him because your team will be better. And if he doesn't end up, go and sign someone else. Any owner in baseball can do this. Any owner in baseball can do this. Any owner in baseball can do this. They make so much fucking money. So much fucking money. And you guys kept cutting me off when I was he bought the White Sox for $19 million. He's going to sell it for $5 billion or whatever. I don't know how much over the team valuation you're supposed to actually sell something for. But that's a pretty good ROI, I'd say, over the course of 50-ish years. Is it not? So, we paid $25 million for Correa that 1 year, and we operated at $25 million deficit. Oh, okay. Well, I just made fucking billions of dollars selling this team. I could take $25 million out of that. I think that's a pretty rational stance. Is it not?
If he sells it.
He is selling it. He has to sell it.
Well, then, yeah, at that point, he would have a pretty good ROI.
You mean operate a business at a loss right now because you're going to sell it at a later date?
It's a very common financial little trope.
Internet business.
Spend money to make money.
But he's.
You watch what Bryce Harper.
That's perfect.
You watch.
That's a perfect way
to end the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All gas.
No breaks.
DJ, play that shit.